You were so nice. You're one of the nicest guys that I've ever met in my life. I didn't know that you would ever be able to be nasty like is what is needed in the trenches in there at the collegiate level. How difficult was it for you to turn that off and on and to toggle in between?
I just think that's really started from high school and just really trying to get away from it each and every year. And then really, like, for me, it happened my freshman year of college, when I just got thrown in, and there was you couldn't be nice at all. You could be nice, you cost your team the game.
Live from the streets of Washington, D.C., on the corner where sports and culture meets hip-hop. Sharing stories of the DMV and spitting fire for the whole damn country. This is First and Told with Chad Ricardo and Darrell Bucknight.
I'm Chad Ricardo. That right there is Darrell Bucknight D. How are you feeling today, bro?
I'm good. I don't know if I'm doing as well as you're doing with your sunglasses and you got like a farm behind you. Like you're living life.
I'm in lovely Hampton Beach, New Hampshire. A little family vacation right now. I would not be coming back just to talk to you, but we got a very, very special guest in the building. It's my main man. Tell him about our guest today.
Yeah, Chad, it's our guy. We love this guy. It's Walter Rouse. He is one of the most high-profile and highly regarded athletes to come out of the DMV in recent years. He's the true definition of what we call a student athlete on this podcast. He's a rising senior at Stanford University out in California and is a graduate of Sidwell Friends in Washington, D.C. by way of Silver Spring, Maryland. He's a biomechanical engineering student, if I have that right. He's joining Chad and I today, and I may have forgot to mention he's also a star football player out at Stanford, and he was one of the best to come out of the DMV during his time at Sidwell. So, Walter, welcome to the program, man.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, and I can't wait to talk to you guys. I'm actually going to be a rising junior, not a senior.
Junior.
Well, that's what I thought, bro. Darrell, I told you, for everybody watching, I'm out of the studio today, so for everything that goes wrong, it's all Darrell's fault. Everybody out there, Walter Rouse, one of my all-time favorite student athletes, no matter what level, no matter what sport it is that they're playing, so it certainly is a pleasure. Well, we'll get to all of the talks about football and all of the other things we want to talk about in a moment here, but before we get to that, we like to talk to student athletes about music. I'm getting old out here. I don't really know what's hot in the streets no more, so I got to ask you, Walt, give me your top 5 all-time musical artists.
Oh, top 5 all time?
All time, bro.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So for me, I'm gonna have to go one with J. Cole. Then I'm gonna go with Eminem, Jay-Z. Then I'm gonna have to say, let's see. And y'all might know this because I listen with my dad, Eric B. and Rakim. I don't know if you guys know about them, but because I listen with my dad. Yes. Eric B. Rakim, and then I also have to say it'll be Tupac as well. So those 5.
It's a good list.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I know it might be, and I might be. I know Tupac, at 5 is there's open for debate and whatnot, but that in terms of just all 5 together, that's my list right there.
Rouse, I'm damn near 40, bro. So I definitely know who Eric B. and Rakim is. Darrell is into the mumble rap and whatnot. I think he's with Little Yachty and Little Shotty and all of those other little guys. I don't know nothing about them.
Hey, that's not you come up with all these excuses every show. That's not me though, Chad.
All right. Well, look, first of all, I want to congratulate you on some of your most recent accomplishments on the football field. Of course, you were most recently named Outland watch list. That, of course, is the most dominant, highest performing offensive lineman. And again, you're just a junior. Get in there. I want to take you back, though, bro. The first time that I met you, I believe that you were a rising junior at that point in high school, I believe. I saw you. You were this phenomenal-looking young man. But I got to be honest with you, bro. After I talked to you, you were so wise. You were so smart. You were so intelligent that I said, that young man is going somewhere in life. It's just probably not in football. So for you, how did you work on yourself to make it from there to as good as you are now? And are you surprised at all?
I definitely say I had surprised myself in terms of where I am right now and how far I've come. Since my high school days in Sidwell, and each year I've just gotten better and better at football, and my love for the game has just really grown. And I think because of that, my love for the game, that's how I've been able to excel, both on and off the field. Especially coming in as a freshman and not expecting to play, but just getting thrown in and having started ever since, playing every single game I've been in at Stanford, and ever since then it's just I've just skyrocketed. I just can't wait for the season and just to continue to just get better and better.
What does it mean to you to make that Outland watch list?
It means a great deal. Each year we have these at Stanford football. We have these tables that we fill out called, goal ladders, what we want to achieve each season. And as a freshman, for my freshman year, and even as a sophomore, each year I was like, I want to win the Outland Award trophy. And even as a freshman, it was like, that's not even too big for me. I want to do as much as I can when I can at Stanford, even as a freshman. And just as a junior, and I put the same, win the Outland Award trophy for my junior year, and to be this time like actually recognized and put on the watch list, it means a great deal. And that the work I put on the field is actually getting noticed, and I can't wait to show out this year. To actually show how much I've improved from last year.
Walter, there's a lot more that goes into Walter Rouse, the person. We see the football star from the DMV. We see the football star out at Stanford in California. But under the helmet, there's more to a football player. There's the human aspect of you. So for those who are listening who don't know you or who are not as familiar with the story, who is Walter Rouse?
So Walter Rouse is as a young kid, I used to just be this big old gentle giant. That's what people used to say to me because I was always so kind and polite. But I was just this big dude. Through each grade in my life, I was always the biggest kid, tallest kid. But I was bumping into someone, I would say, "Oh, sorry, my bad." And I had to get away from that, because I brought that with me to the basketball court and the football field. But yeah, definitely on off the field, I'm a gentle giant. People say I give the best hugs and whatnot. I just this big loving guy. I love comic books and superheroes. I got into that with my dad, and we used to watch that all the time. And I still do. I'm still really much into that. I love reading, going on walks and photography, taking a couple photography classes at Stanford. Then, of course, even before I got into football, I've always wanted to be a doctor for as long as I can remember. And specifically, I wanted to be there's a lot to take in, a cardiothoracic surgeon specializing in pediatrics. And then, finding my major, biomechanical engineering, thinking that's the best way to get to that point at Stanford. And then, now I'm really getting into football, and then, aspirations for the NFL, using that to get to med school and whatnot. So, aside from the field, that's a little bit about me. And, I'm someone you can come up to anytime and love to talk. And I'm very talkative. You have to talk, like, as right now, I can keep going on and on and on. But yeah, that's me.
How challenging was it for you? Because when we look at my hesitation in thinking that you'd make it this far, it's for the reason you just now said there. You were so nice. You're one of the nicest guys that I've ever met in my life. I didn't know that you would ever be able to be nasty, like is what is needed in the trenches and there at the collegiate level. How difficult was it for you to turn that off and on and to toggle in between?
I just think that's really started from high school, and just really trying to get away from it each and every year. And then really, for me, it happened my freshman year of college, when I just got thrown in, and there was you couldn't be nice at all. You could be nice, you cost your team the game. And so, I had to, no helping people up or asking if they're okay. It's time you got to get away from that. And I feel like I've been doing better each and every year, finishing through blocks, pancaking people. This year I can't wait to do that and show more of my meaner side, because still people still think of me sometimes as a gentle giant on the field, and how I can be more aggressive, and I can't wait to show that on the field.
Walter, you just gave a perfect description of who you are, and obviously you know yourself best, but for people who don't know you or your story, you just went right into it, and it brought to light what's really underneath the helmet of a football player, especially a football player as good as you. So I mean, that's why we brought you on, and that's why we wanted to get more in depth with that. And with that, you alluded to your major and the fact that you always knew that you wanted to be in the medical field, and you're a biomechanical engineering major at Stanford. You're playing football, and you're at one of the top schools in the country. So, for perspective, to kind of get into your head and kind of get into the life of a college athlete, can you take us through like a typical day for you at Stanford, maybe during the height of football season? What a day for Walter Rouse or for your teammates may look like?
Absolutely. So I'll take you to what I had to do for my freshman year because, my sophomore year we were in the pandemic and whatnot, and that was all off. But so freshman year, we would get up around 6 a.m. or whatnot. We would have to go in for a lift. Then we would go to some meetings quick and early in the day. And then from meetings, we would head to class. And that's when we had the bulk of our classes, maybe 2 to 3 classes a day. And from there, we would go to practice. And that practice would last around maybe 2 to 3 hours. And that would, depending on the day, could end around 5 or 6 o'clock. Then from there, we'll maybe have meetings and then head to dinner. And so it's usually like that every single day during the week, especially during the season. Now, each day would be a little different. In terms of Monday, the practice might not be as long because we're coming off of game day. Then Tuesday and Wednesdays are our work days. And so that's when practice around closer to 3 hours with full pads, putting in that work. Thursday will be around the walkthrough in the stadium. And then Friday, we call it Fast Fridays, where we're having shock pads on just to get the juices flowing right before a game day on Saturday. And, of course, Saturday is the game, and Sunday's a recovery day. And so we would do that for, from September to December, and then, hopefully this year into early January. So that's what a season would look like for us.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the recent changes that have come to light in college sports in terms of student athletes being receiving compensation for their names and likenesses being used. And I don't know how much you can speak on it or what you're willing to offer, but that's such a huge deal, not only for athletes but for the NCAA and the structure of the organization itself. How do you think this new rule, this new really gain of leverage for student athletes will impact football in the near future? Do you think it'll be more of a positive thing or more of a negative thing?
I definitely think it can go both ways, but I think it could be more of a positive thing for athletes in general, especially if you just because of all we've talked about in terms of athletes putting their bodies on the line and then playing each day in, day out, and not being able to make money off their name and likeness. And I think there's so much potential that you can have with this new deal coming in and partnering with certain companies and the type of platforms that athletes have. I feel like they can now have a greater reach to certain people, and especially across the world. And definitely for me, I think there's plenty of opportunities for me, and not just to make money, but just to reach out to certain companies and see how I can, I see something in them, and I think that we could have a great partnership, and we could reach out to different people and help certain people out. So I definitely think, and some people will say that there could be some negative effects to that, and I won't say that's not true, but I definitely think the upside is much higher than the downside.
To all of our friends and family, corporate sponsors here in the D that are watching this right now, there is no better potential corporate pitchman than Walter Rouse. That is Outland Trophy Watch List nominee Walter Rouse. Definitely hit him up if you want him in a commercial or something like that. Walt, you are a graduate of Sidwell. Shout out to the entire Sidwell alum base, the entire Sidwell student faculty. I love everybody out there. That means that you are a student athlete from the Washington, D.C. area. As much as we have positive things to talk about with you and all of the great things that are going on in your life, we've got some very dangerous times right now, especially for young black males in Washington, D.C. We've got crime, particularly gun violence, on the rise in the district. What are your thoughts? I know that you're from afar, but when you hear about these shootings, 3-4 people getting killed at one time in one night, when you hear about these shootings and all of the crime in D.C., what are your thoughts? What are your reflections, even from afar?
When these first started to these started to gain national attention and whatnot years ago, you really come to oh, this is a shock to you. you're surprised, like, how could this happen? And what hurts me is the fact that as the years go on, like, you see it, and like, you feel bad for what happened, but it's the fact that people are not surprised and shocked that it happened. Like, that's a huge problem. That we're like, oh, it happens, and we move on to the next thing. We can't allow that to happen.
Rouse, I was talking to Coach Mike Hunter at Friendship, and he said that it's getting to the point now that he feels like his young men are numb to the effect.
Yes.
That they hear it, they say RIP for a few days, and then you just go on about life. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I think that is absolutely true. And that's a perfect word. People are getting numb to the situation, to what's going on. And that absolutely cannot happen because of the amount of times that this is happening, especially in the DC area and around the country. The fact that people are getting numb is allowing this to happen more. We can't be numb. We have to be more aware, alert. We have to, keep posting things on social media. We can't just post things on social media and say, okay, I'm done with it. I support people on social media, but as a true person, then I'm not really with it. You have to be able to go all in, and especially for young African American males and boys around this country who are, getting shot down and getting killed. It's so hurtful to see, and I feel like we could do so much more with what we're doing, and especially during the pandemic, there was such a movement that we had, and I feel like because of the pandemic, a lot of people were almost like forced to see what was going on in this country, and it was really eye opening for a lot of people. But we just need to keep that momentum going forward and not let that die down.
And of course, one of the things that comes with all of the gun violence and the deaths in the district is what we call emotional trauma, right? And trauma is something that weighs heavily on our young black males, particularly. Mental health is something that is at the forefront, whether we're talking about the young lady tennis player, whether we're talking about Simone Biles as well. Mental health matters. I want to speak to you about mental health because I know that recently that you did lose your father, and I know that your father meant a ton to you, but you still had to keep going. You had to still keep moving on with life, whether it be that school and or athletics. So for all of the young men out there that are dealing with mental health issues, albeit violence, losses of loved ones, what words of advice do you have for them in terms of getting help, in terms of not bottling that up? What would you say to the young man that's dealing with some things?
For me, I would say one thing that I did, and I would strongly recommend not to do, is I did keep things bottled up. I did not share my feelings because I thought I could keep it contained, and I didn't need to share my pain with my loved ones or like my best friends. Like I thought that, oh, I can handle it all myself, and that is something that you cannot do. And it's okay that you can't do this alone. You have people around you that want to help you, that love you, and honestly, let them in. Let them give you their love and support. Because when you do that, you're able to share that pain with them, and they'll help you. They'll help you get through what you're going through. I'm still going through it right now. I think about my dad every day, but because I have the love and support system that I have right now, I'm able to keep going through that each and every day. And when my dad had first passed away back in late 2019 December, I was just kept all that bottled up. And when I realized how I needed to start sharing more and talking about it, that's when I started to feel a little bit better, and I could actually move on, or not move on, but just started to keep going through life without being bogged down by so much pain and grief that I couldn't even do my regular things during school or even football.
I tell you what, bro, I lost my father damn near 10 years ago, and I don't think, because as a man, right, these are the things that happen to us. We're taught as men to be tough.
Yep.
We're taught to be strong. We're taught that men don't cry. We're
Mm-hmm.
taught that men had to, be there for everybody else. And that's what I did for years, and it messed with me. And I'm still dealing with it now, 10 years later. So what was the moment? Like what was the moment for you where it said, you know what? Like, I got to change the way that I'm going about this. I have to open up to talk about this.
So for me, I would say, and this is still hard to talk about, even to this day. But I was at school actually, and I was coming back. It was the winter quarter, and I'm in my dorm, and I don't know how it happened, but I found my dad's. I don't know. I was on social media, then I got on my dad's Facebook page, and started looking through all the pictures that he had of me, and if you go on his page, he really is all just me and whatnot. And then this is how proud he was of me. And it really hit me like a brick wall, like a train. And so I started just to break down, and I really I needed someone. I needed someone to be there with me because I was all alone. Because I started to push people away, and I didn't really need anyone. But I right then and there I was like, okay, I can't let all this keep happening. I can't let it keep having these breakdowns because I need someone to be there with me. I need someone to help me with this. And that was really the moment for me. And I've had like some of those breakdowns again after that, but I had people with me then that allowed me to get through it and talk about it with them, which really helped me into like getting to where I am right now.
First of all, also shout out to your mother. I'm a huge fan of your mother. So to everybody out there, Walter Rouse has a tremendous mother as well. Yes. And to all of our young men and young ladies that are watching, mental health matters. Do not do like I did for 10 years, like Walter Rouse did, and try to bottle this up. Find someone.
I was just gonna say, whether it's one person or it's many people, it's really up to you how many people you want to let in your circle and how many people that you want to share this with. And for me, definitely it was my mom who was my biggest supporter at the time and still is right now, who was able to keep me going and who was my rock in this when I was going through it.
And you know what? I think it says a lot, Walter, coming on here, in front of our audience and speaking to so many people who may be dealing with the same thing you're dealing with, and being so open and being so vulnerable and letting us into what you're thinking and what you're experiencing. It's big. It's big time.
That's why we got him here.
We appreciate that, Walter. That's why we got him here. Exactly. And on this podcast, we want to get into knowing you a little bit more. So we have something that Chad and I do. It's called the 2-minute drill. It's a chance for us to get to know you better, for our listeners and our audience to get to know you better. It's a rapid fire game we play. We put 2 minutes on the clock, and I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. Whatever comes to your mind, let us know. It's a chance to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock starting now. First question: what is the best part about Stanford?
The teachers and academics, and then football.
What are your hobbies outside of football?
So definitely love comic books, reading comic books, and going to see superhero movies. And I also love photography.
Awesome. Your most memorable game, either high school or college?
My freshman year of high school, we won the DCSA state championship, and we were playing Eastern High School. We were not supposed to win that game at all, but that was a surreal moment as a freshman. And I'd say the UCLA game as a college, as a sophomore, was a close second.
What is your go-to pregame meal?
When I was a pescatarian, I had a good salmon, some broccoli, rice, and then when I was left being a pescatarian, the prime rib, the steak, so good. I have to go with those two things right there.
You just gave me a dinner idea for tonight. What's your go-to pregame song?
Undeniable. Who is it? Undeniable.
What person motivates you the most?
My mom. My mom motivates me the most.
Awesome. Figured that would be your answer, and that's a great answer because we love her. What is your greatest achievement in life?
Ooh, my greatest. For right now, I would say two things. One, getting into Stanford University was so big for me because it's a school I've been wanting to go to for so long, and also becoming an Eagle Scout because that's something I've been doing since I was a Tiger Cub in first grade. And I've spent half my life doing that, and then finally become an Eagle Scout to achieve that such a high level of respect and integrity. That was big for me as well.
I saw that on your profile on Stanford's website that you were an Eagle Scout. That's awesome. Last question: how can our audience and people who watch the podcast or listen to the podcast connect with you?
You can connect with me through my Twitter and my Instagram. Those are I am on Facebook, but not really on it too much. So Twitter and Instagram are the best place. If you want to DM me, I always try to respond. Those are the best places to reach me.
And we can just watch you on TV. That's the easiest way, I think.
Yes, sir. You can do that.
Thank you, Walter. 207.
Okay, great.
Hey, Rouse, I got to challenge you. I got to pull your card right now. You're telling me that a freshman football game at Sidwell was bigger to you than winning the DCSAA championship on 2 buzzer beaters in basketball?
Oh, I thought we were just talking about football.
Hey, you are a multi-platform,
Oh.
multi-function student athlete. You can talk about whatever you want to.
Okay, with branching out, okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to put that game, one of the best games in the DMV. Hey, we were meant to win that game. We had 2 buzzer beaters back to back. That was that was like the best game of my life, of college basketball, football, and it was so good to be a part of that game.
Greatest game that I have ever been a part of, and I was just calling it. It was phenomenal.
Yes, sir. It was. Oh man, I still have a high sometimes off of that game.
Me too. Go Sidwell. Don't tell nobody else in the DMV I said that, but go Sidwell. Walter Rouse, thank you so very much for stopping by the podcast, brother. And again, for any and everybody out there, if you need a representative, a quality young man, student athlete, Walter Rouse of Stanford will handle all
Appreciate you, Walter.
of your
Thanks for
needs.
coming on.
NIL in full effect.
Thank you for having me. You guys have a great day now.
First and 10.